Blog Talk. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
2, 1, enjoy the ride. What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to the Wrestle Talk Podcast with Joe and Renee. It is 8 o'clock on Wednesday night. If you are listening to the sound of my voice, I thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you so very, very, very much. We got a jam-packed show for you tonight. We got the High Spot segment. We got the Shoot and Shout segment. We got the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. We got the Fantasy Wrestling segment. We got the Snippets of Truth. If that's not enough, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Attitude of Aggression's David Unger coming on at 7:30. We've got the Ring of Honor World Television Champion Shane Taylor. We told you that we would make good on it, that he would be here, and he is going to be here tonight, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. We got so much that we can talk about tonight. We got Monday Night Raw. We're going to get into that. We got AEW, Double or Nothing was this past week, and that was freaking amazing. There's so much I got to talk to you, but right now, there's only one thing that we need to do, and that is whatever that you have in front of you, whatever drink you have, whether it's water, soda, beer, liquor, whatever it is, I want you to pop it open, put it into your Wrestle Talk Podcast mug. If you don't have a Wrestle Talk Podcast mug yet, what are you waiting on? They are really... Look at that. I am spilling my beer. That is terrible. That is a party foul, ladies and gentlemen. Party foul. Anyway, if you don't have a Wrestle Talk Podcast mug yet, what are you waiting for? Go to the podcast. Go to the WrestleTalkPodcast.com and click on that freaking site and click on the link at www.WrestleTalkPodcastWithJoeandRenee.com. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get the man, the myth, the legend, the man that needs no introduction, and that is the Night Owl.
¿Qué pasa, loyal members of the Wrestle Talk family? Your boy, the Night Owl, checking in from the heartland of the United States. Good old Kansas City, along with my partner, Nightmare Jones, checking in over in West Virginia. Man, we're so happy you guys have decided to join us for episode 248 of the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Renee. And just to piggyback off my boy Joe, it is the WrestleTalkPodcast.com where you slide over to the merch booth tab and you pick up one of these puppies right here, fully customized, hand engraved by Wrap Bum Engraving, Wrestle Talk Podcast mugs. And if you want to add kind of a unique touch to it, we can actually engrave your nickname, your first name, your last name, whatever on the mugs as well for an additional $5. Man, you can't really beat that. But actually, that's a lie. You can beat that. You know how you beat that, Jonesy? You have a kick-ass show for 248, man. That's exactly what we're going to do tonight, man. I could not be any happier, bro, to be back. And I am so excited that we were able to make it. That's right. The Ring of Honor World Television Champion, Shane Taylor, has been rescheduled, and he will be joining us halfway through the second hour. Man, that said, Jonesy, I'm fired up. I'm excited, bro. We got a lot to talk about, and I guess I just want to know how you're feeling, man. Are you ready to kill this thing tonight?
Oh, absolutely. I am ready to. I had a great day today. I had a job interview, and it looks like I may be getting this job. So thank the freaking Lord. I am excited about this. I got myself some beer that I'm going to be drinking. My Memorial Day was good. I went swimming. I didn't get a sunburn like last time I went swimming in Kansas City. But yeah, it was a good time.
That was so bad, dude. That was such a bad sunburn.
Yeah, it was. But it was totally worth it. And then I ended up taking a Rick Maverick chop and sunburned and everything else. And we had a heck of a time that weekend. That was NatsuCon.
Dude, that was NatsuCon weekend. And forgive me for laughing, Jonesy. I mean, they did invent sunscreen. But hey, that's neither here nor there. If you don't, yeah, exactly. Well, listen, all that said, man, we're right on the heels of Memorial Day. So, of course, without failure, like we do every show, we're going to hit Carl Lewis. But for this week, it means something even a little bit more special because, again, we're coming off of Memorial Day on Monday. So, intern Timmy, you know what to do, baby. We're going to ask everybody to remove their caps, place their hands over their hearts as we respectfully pay homage to the greatest country of God's green earth. And that's America, dang it.
Oh, say, can you see? And the rockets, red flag. Uh-oh. I'll make up for it now. Oh, the land of the free.
Brings a tear to my eye every single time, man.
Every single time, man. Well, listen, Jonesy, before we get into high spots, I know we're going to have some callers. For those of you who are new to the show, it's pretty simple. The first half hour or so, we want to include you in the conversation almost exclusively. Meaning, all you got to do is dial that 383-1521 to join the conversation. Call us. And I'm putting this up here for the YouTube folks. Call us. Let's talk about everything in the world of pro wrestling. There is so much to discuss. And you know what? We're going to get to it. But we need to light up those phone lines. And I think we may even have a special caller joining us for the second half of the High Spot segment, which I'm very excited about. But before we get there and we hit the music, I wanted to take a second and send some love to members of the Wrestle Talk family. First and foremost, I want to start off with Kenny Bolin, the Star Maker Kenny Bolin, who was a guest on our show a couple of weeks back. He's actually already anxious to get back on with us. We've actually spoken, and he said, hey, just make the phone call, and I am there. So Kenny Bolin actually just underwent some major weight loss surgery in order to try to get his health back in order. He is recovering. It's been a few days now, and it looks like everything's going well. So much love and quick recovery to Kenny Bolin. Bob McGee, Pro Wrestling Between the Sheets. Bob McGee actually just is getting ready to go, if not already went into surgery for a hernia. So Bob McGee, we do obviously send you tons of love, the whole Wrestle Talk family, and hope that you will have a speedy recovery as well. And then last but not least, a man who's in the fight of his life, a guy who's been a huge and longtime supporter of the Wrestle Talk podcast, St. Louis's very own Larry Nickel. As you guys will remember, last year when the Wrestle Talk podcast was in St. Louis, Larry was nice enough to bring us on his radio station in the morning alongside Luke Roberts of Dynamo Pro Wrestling, and it just opened up his arms and his doors to us like you would never imagine. So Larry is actually going through some chemotherapy right now as he's trying to have his way with cancer and prove that it will not slow him down. So big time shout out to those three individuals. We're praying for you. Might even have Big Daddy P say a little bit of a little something for you guys during Snippets of Truth. But before we went on with the show and started to have a ton of fun, I wanted to make sure that we shouted out those gentlemen. Joe, any thoughts on Larry, Bob, or Kenny? Or for any of those
they're all awesome. They're all awesome guests, and they're great fans of the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Renee, and we wish them the best of luck. I've known many people that have gotten that weight loss surgery, and it seems to work really, really well. So hopefully, it'll get him on the right track to getting his health better. And then, you got Bob McGee, wishing the best on his hernia surgery, and then of course you can't forget Larry Nickel. I mean, so best of luck to all three of those guys.
Indeed. Best of luck to all three of those guys. Well, listen, all that said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and kick off today's edition of the High Spot segment, where we encourage everybody to call in and talk to us about whatever is on your mind concerning the world of pro wrestling. 657-383-1521. Enter Timmy. Go ahead and drop that music as we kick off tonight's edition of the High Spot segment.
Earth rings. We have now taken over your radio. Hit 'em high, hit 'em high, hit 'em high. Hit 'em low, hit 'em low, hit 'em low.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and start off this High Spot segment. And, I could save this for the shoot and shout, but you know what? I'm a little bit pissed off at the WWE right now because we got to watch on Monday Night Raw. The first hour started off with a Brock Lesnar segment, which I was fine with.
No, you weren't. You weren't. You weren't fine with that. Don't lie, Joe. You were not fine with that. That's a lie.
Just listen to me. So you had a Brock Lesnar segment going first, which I was fine with Brock Lesnar segment. That's fine. Then you had Dolph Ziggler beating up Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, which I was fine with that.
No,
then you had a Triple H segment with Randy Orton. Then you had Shane McMahon cutting a promo, and then after he had like a 1-minute match with Lance Anokai, which is amazing that they had the guy on there, which I will get into why they actually had Lance and you had another Brock Lesnar. You had one match in 1 hour. It was 50 minutes of promos. What are they thinking?
Enough is enough.
That the AEW pay-per-view was absolutely amazing, and then they do this the very next night, and that just fuels the AEW supporters even more to say that the WWE is going down to AEW. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, listen, bro. Listen, I don't want you to run out of gas too early, and we do have some callers on the line, and one of the callers in particular is a dear, dear friend of the show. Okay? This gentleman helps us. He works in our media department, and, he facilitates some of the wonderful interviews that you have heard here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, including the one with Bill Dundee, I think, and Selena De Lorenza and many others. So joining us for this week's edition of the High Spot segment, and he might even hang out with us for a few minutes during the Dave Unger interview. Okay.
Renee?
Yes.
Renee?
What?
Rick Maverick's not on the line.
It doesn't matter what you think.
Jonesy, we're not talking about Rick Maverick. You know we're not. We're talking about no, not Ozzy either. No, we're talking about a man that walks upon the clouds. The one, the only Luke Skywalker Roberts is going to join us for tonight's edition of High Spots. Luke, are you with us, brother? And how the heck are you feeling tonight?
Well, first of all, Renee, it's wonderful to be here on the program. I got to tell you right now.
What? Oh, wait. You're getting intro music. Just go with it. Just go with it. Hey. I guess you're getting intro music now. That's awesome.
Well, I would say I don't know if I've ever had that for an introduction in all my years in pro wrestling. And you know something, Joe, you know something, Renee? Like I said, I'm enjoying actually a couple days off. It's been a pretty busy last few weeks for me here at Dynamo Pro. And I got to tell you right now, I was thinking about a few things real quick. I'm going to get back to the whole AEW thing to give Joe a minute to kind of rest and relax. Number one, Kenny Bolin, get well soon. I know he's a great friend of the show. Bob McGee, as a matter of fact, spoke with him with some speed recovery as well. And Larry Nickel, as a matter of fact, talked with him earlier this week. A lot of his friends and family are telling me he's going to drop that big elbow drop from the top rope on Cancer. And like I said, I'm looking forward to Larry taking care of business and coming back to Dynamo Pro and the pro wrestling scene real soon. Now, getting back to things. Jonesy, quick thing here, man. I know Renee was talking about earlier in the show, talking about sunscreen and talking about your trip to KC. They made a song about that, too. So you just might want to remember on that as well. Now, getting back to WWE, I got to tell you right now, guys, I watched both AEW this weekend and I watched WWE over the course of the last couple evenings. And I got to tell you right now, you were spot on. To me, yeah, I think it's just one of those things where the WWE needs to step up and deliver right now. And I got to tell you, Monday night did not do it, in my opinion. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, Jonesy, you said, and looking at things, the idea of the WWE making sure that they did what they needed to do. And I don't think it was the idea of how you were saying. I think it's the idea of looking at this weekend and next weekend when you have the Super Showdown and you have the idea of NXT TakeOver 25. I got to tell you right now, two events does not make things to the WWE. But I'm going to tell you right now, based on what's been going on, the WWE, I've never seen them this vocal about their competition. They weren't even really this vocal when they talked about WCW back in the day. So that's kind of where I'm looking at things right now. Renee, I know you've had an opportunity to look at things. What are you thinking here?
Well, listen, I want to I want to dive in head first to this AEW thing, and we can, okay? And we're gonna also address this with Dave from Attitude of Aggression, who will be on with us here in about 15 minutes, because he was actually at the show in Las Vegas, and I could pretty much hit it from a lot of different angles. But there's one thing that just kind of resonated with me that I heard immediately and wanted to get your guys' feedback. There are more than a few people who have pinpointed certain correlations between the WWE and AEW. I want to know from you guys and the members of the Wrestle Talk family, okay, those of you on hold, we're going to try to get you on. Bear with us. How high do you think the probability is? Let's just say 1 out of 5 super kicks. 5 super kicks meaning you're absolutely 100% sure, and 1 super kick means you're absolutely 100% not sure. That they are somehow, some way in cahoots. What is the probability of that? And I want to go ahead and ask that question first to my partner in crime, Nightmare Jones.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it definitely, at times it seems like they are, but then again, it seems like it's not. If you watch the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, they definitely threw a couple of jabs at the W Sledgehammer, and there was a couple of things. I don't know if they're actually working together. I think that right now AEW just wants to put out a good wrestling show, and so far they're not doing a bad job. So I would give it I'll give it 3 super kicks. How about that? 3 super kicks.
So no, and we're not. And listen, and I want to be clear, we're not rating the pay-per-view. Okay, what I'm saying is 1 out of 5. How high do you think the chances are that they are working together? Because 3 is technically pretty high. That means you think there's a fairly good chance that they're working together. Is that how you really feel?
I believe that there is a good chance that they are maybe working together because if you think about it, AEW is the best thing for the WWE because it actually gives them some major competition. So, by doing that, it gives the WWE the major competition that it needs, and Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks, they all get to put on a wrestling show with, their own creativity. So, like I said, 3 Super Kicks.
All right, love it. Skywalker, same question to you, man. What do you think?
Well, I got to tell you right now, and I know a lot of people on the internet, a lot of members of the Wrestle Talk family are going to know what I'm going to say here. -5 Super Kicks. And here's my reason why.
-5.
Why would a man
Okay.
with as much money, as much influence in the world of sports as the Khan family, the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, not going to go into business against Vince McMahon? Everybody knows competition. And to me, I look at it the point of view of where, and we said it earlier, it's the idea of, for years, since the closure of WCW and the closure of ECW, you don't see a lot of competition for Vince McMahon. I know a lot of listeners are going to be going on Facebook and Twitter and talking about Impact Wrestling. They're going to talk about Ring of Honor. But when you look at it from the sheer volume of what they have, the WWE has been the cornerstone of things as of the last 10 to 15 years. Now you look at things going on, and I wouldn't say it's just AEW. I say it's the AEWs, it's the ROHs, it's the New Japans that are bringing the sport. It's just one of those where, to me, I think AEW made a huge stride forward to show not only but the wrestling public, but to show the wrestlers are wanting to have an alternative to going to the WWE. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack here, but I'm just going to tell you straight up how I feel. To me, while several matches on the pay-per-view did bring a lot to the table, I got to tell you right now, for about the last hour and a half, I was on the edge of my seat. But prior to that, I really felt as though while it was a great event, and I give kudos to AEW, I think that they had a high bar to be following after All In. And if you're comparing it to All In, I'd say they don't deliver. I'd say you compare it to a lot of what's on television right now, and they're the hottest thing going in professional wrestling.
Wow. All right. And you know what? I want to continue this topic, but I'm getting a message right here on my watch that we do have a little bit of breaking news. Nightmare Jones, you know anything about this?
I actually do. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, because this is some huge news, and it set its sights on a new challenge, and that is he is the latest cast member to join the Dancing with the Stars. Brock Lesnar is following in the footsteps of his wrestling mentor and self-described personal hero, Nikki Bella, and has joined the cast of the show's next season of Dancing with the Stars. He is the last minute fill-in for the songwriter Debbie Gibson. Brock Lesnar on Dancing with the Stars. And if you saw him Monday night, you saw Brock Lesnar's dancing skills.
No.
Stop it. Jonesy. Okay. Jonesy, have you been reading kayfabe news again? What did I tell you about going there and bringing those stories to the show, man? What's wrong with you?
Hey, if it's on the internet, it's true.
What? No.
Go!
Luke Roberts, you can give your assessment on that story, or we can continue with the AEW conversation. Which do you prefer?
Well, right now, I don't know if I could follow that story, guys. I mean, that's one of those where I'm speechless. It takes a lot to get me to stop talking. But I got to tell you right now. I mean, again, if again, Jonesy says, you see it on the internet, you see it on websites.
It's got to be true.
You should be doing what's there. Again, kudos to Jonesy on that. But I got to tell you right now, guys. I mean, right now,
Luke Roberts. Let me stop you there, because I know if we let you go, you're going to take off like a greyhound. Okay. So let me reel this back in, not just for you, but for all of us, because I think we can go in 1,000 different places. But since we're so fresh off of the AEW pay-per-view and WWE's reaction or lack thereof, I kind of wanted to continue with the theme of the super kick. So here are the two questions that we can toss around. And then when Dave Unger joins us here in about 6 minutes, we'll go ahead and address that with him as well, because he was in the building. He was in good old Las Vegas. And, you know, whatever stays in Vegas, happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas. But no, not when you're dealing with Dave and attitude of aggression. He's going to bring it, and he's going to tell everything that he saw, and he's going to bring the heat like he always has when he's come on the Wrestle Talk podcast. So let me go ahead and phrase it like this, guys. Okay? Again, 1 out of 5 super kicks. What do you feel, 1 through 5, about the show quality itself? Skywalker, I believe you already kind of gave us an idea of how you felt about it. But then I want the same scoring system for this question as well. What do you think the impact of this weekend show will be in the world of pro wrestling 5 years from now? Are we going to look back and look at it as a blip? Or are we going to go back and look at it as a tidal wave? 1 out of 5. You guys don't necessarily have to go hot or cold, black or white on this. You do have a little bit of wiggle room with the score system, 1 out of 5 super kicks. But I think that's a great way for us to look at the short term and the quality of the show, and then also maybe look a few years into the future and then turn around and look back and say, hey, here's what I think it did or didn't do for pro wrestling 5 years after the fact. Nightmare Jones, I got to get your thoughts on this before we go back to Luke Roberts here.
Oh my goodness, the show itself was absolutely amazing. You know, from the pre-show to the main event match was absolutely awesome. You know, you had the buy-in battle royal where you had a guy that literally has no legs was in the battle royal. You had Joey Janela. You had Jimmy Havoc. You had Tommy Dreamer. You had Ace Romero. I mean, it was absolutely insane. That they were going, bodies were going left and right. I mean, the whole thing was absolutely amazing. The only match that I really wasn't too interested in was the Aja Kong match, and that's because I don't really know too much about women's Japanese wrestling. So the only one I really knew was Aja Kong. So, you know, and I was with a bunch of friends, and they didn't really know who these ladies wrestlers were either, so they weren't really interested in that match either. But every other match was absolutely awesome. The best friends match, to the Cody and Dustin match, to the Omega and Jericho match, which ended up with Jon Moxley coming out, which I had my thoughts on Jon Moxley, but you know, it's just my opinion. So
well, wait a minute. Wait a minute now. This is the Wrestle Talk podcast. If there's a place to give us your opinion on Jon Moxley, Nightmare Jones, it would be your very own podcast, would it not? What is your opinion on Jon Moxley? Come on, you didn't tell me anything about this.
My thing with Jon Moxley is that I think that he is being way overhyped. When he was the WWE champion, he was boring. They gave him all these championships. Jon Moxley, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose, to me, isn't really that entertaining. And there is no difference between Jon Moxley and Dean Ambrose. They're the same exact character, in my opinion. It's just my opinion.
Hey, you know what? Strong opinions is what the Wrestle Talk podcast is all about. And you know who's always ready with a hot take and strong opinion? That's our boy Skywalker. Skywalker, you got two tidbits there, short-term, long-term. What are your thoughts, man?
Well, first of all, I got to tell you right now, this is kind of bizarre because I agree with Nightmare Jones 1 minute, the next minute, I am completely in disagreement with him. And I'm going to say, here's my view. Look at this event from top to bottom, from the Battle Royal and Hangman Page all the way to the main event. This event had it all. I mean, again, when you look at some of the names that were there, you talked about it, John Moxley, Aja Kong, Amazing Kong, or just Kong, I believe, as she's being called now, making a surprise return to professional wrestling. You got Bret Hart making an appearance. I mean, you sit there, you look at that. I mean, from top to bottom, I felt the event, while there were still some things that kind of weren't as exciting as others, I got to tell you that last hour and a half provided more for the wrestling fan than a lot of promotions can say they've done in a year. And I got to tell you right now, the match between the American Nightmare and the Natural, without question, to me, and this may be the old school, the 32-year veteran talking here, to me, that match right there showed professional wrestling, that old school wrestling still exists. And I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, from top to bottom, the event I thought was very good. I think right now that matchup between the Nightmare and the Natural definitely won a match of the year candidate. I also found it kind of a little poetic at the end of brothers hugging to set up their event. I believe it's now the Natural and the Nightmare taking on the Young Bucks at Fyter Fest. I mean, again, great idea, great event. And I got to tell you right now, they're not a blip on the radar. And here's my reason. When you see all of these people throughout professional wrestling, whether it's on the independent scene, all the way up to people in the WWE who are standing up and taking notice and making tweets and things like that, right now, even if something were to happen like Impact Wrestling, I'm going to tell you right now, this event, the wrestlers from across the planet coming in, I have to say AEW has made not just a blip on the radar, it's made everybody stand up and take notice and show, hey, there are great professional wrestlers throughout the world. And places like the WWE need to step up, get on the bandwagon, and take notice.
Well, that said, Skywalker, what is your rating? 1 out of 5 super kicks for the pay-per-view itself, and 5 years down the road, what level of impact do you think this particular weekend will have on the pro wrestling community as a whole? Again, using the 1 out of 5 or 1 super kick to 5 super kick scale.
Okay, I'm going to put it this way. As far as the event itself, I'm going to give it probably 3.5 super kicks. And just the reason why is there were a lot of things that I kind of couldn't get as excited in as I could, but that last hour and a half definitely made up for it. As far as its impact, I'm going to be the polar opposite, 5 out of 5. I think this is going to make a lot of professional wrestling organizations throughout this planet stand up and take notice that professional wrestling needs some change. It needs some alternative. It needs some differentiation. It needs a lot of different things to be put together. And I got to tell you right now, the buzzword's AEW. And again, I think when it comes down to it, overall, I think they're 2 for 2.
2 for 2. Well said. Well, Jonesy, I want to make sure I come back to you because I don't necessarily think you had an opportunity to answer the second part of the question. So in 5 years, man, how big do you think this weekend's event will register in the annals of pro wrestling history on a scale from 1 to 5?
I would have to say 4.5.
4.5 super kicks. Okay.
A huge step. 4.5 super kicks. It is. This showed that AEW is definitely a contender, and I think that right now the WWE is not really as worried, but once AEW gets their TV show on TNT, that's when you're going to see WWE change things up, because right now, AEW is just monthly pay-per-views until they get their TV show. And that's when you're going to see the WWE change things up. And that's why I say AEW is what's best for the wrestling business right now, because eventually you're going to see the WWE start to compete with AEW.
Wow, you know what? That's a bold statement, and I would dare to say that it's going to take them 3 to 5 years to really be in serious consideration to be competing even with the likes of Ring of Honor. With all due respect to AEW, yeah, they brought in some big names. Many of them, especially the bigger named guys, former WWE superstars. But you know who's not doing that? New Japan is not doing that. Ring of Honor is not doing that. And as Jay Hollywood stated here on the YouTube live feed, a very wise gentleman by the name of Herb Simmons said it's all about longevity. And so AEW can continue to pay whatever they're paying for these outrageous appearances by Jon Moxley or whomever else. But unless you start to grow some homegrown talent, it's not sustainable. Listen, everything you saw on AEW, none of it was homegrown. I hate to say this. Sammy Guevara, Joey Janela, and the list goes on and on and on. These guys have made their bones other places. They're just putting together a bit of an all-star team, and that's why you're getting these incredible shows, okay? But the All-Star game, and I'll relate this back to basketball because we are in NBA final season as well as in Stanley Cup final season. Shout out to all our friends in St. Louis. Go Blues. I guess what I'm saying, gentlemen, is I would not necessarily be concerned if I was the WWE for that reason. Until they have their own roster, their own training facility, like the Ring of Honor Dojo, and they're running shows weekly. And you know that's something that they prioritize because Tony Khan himself, the man who owns the promotion and makes all the final decisions, he said, we're not going to measure ourselves against anybody yet because we're not doing what anybody else is doing. And that is, you're not running a weekly episodic television show. If there is a promotion that can compare themselves a little bit more closely with WWE, and I know this is going to sound crazy, guys, but I'm talking about Wow Women of Wrestling. And they are on syndicated television on Access TV. They run a weekly show. They're owned by one of the most high-profile owners of a professional sports team in the world, Jeannie Buss. So I'm not saying that WWE should be worried about Wow Women of Wrestling or if they should be worried about AEW. What I'm saying is they should be more worried about Wow Women of Wrestling because let me tell you guys something. I don't know what you know about TNT drama, but that's not on basic cable, my friends. No. TNT drama is not on basic cable like the USA Network, like TNT, okay? They're not on Mondays and Tuesdays. As far as we know, this is going to happen in October, and who knows what it's going to take for you to get your hands on TNT drama. Do you have to pay extra like Showtime? Nobody seems to know. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm very proud of them, but in no way, shape, or form should the WWE be worried about AEW. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Okay, I'm going to jump in here right now, Renee, because I can agree, and again, I can agree of my heart with Herb Simmons. Longevity is a huge issue, but here's my view. How many promotions, I mean, again, you talk about an all-star game. How many professional wrestling promotions in the United States, outside of, and a lot of people would say the big four, when you have this group of individuals who's hungry, who's going out there. And again, a lot of these wrestlers that are in AEW, I mean, again, you're starting to see the names that are starting to be all elite. You're starting to see these individuals. They're starting everything they can to build into that promotion. And again, I agree with
Skywalker, they're doing it with borrowed talent. I'm sorry to interject here, and we can have a little bit of a debate because I know Dave Unger's ready to come on, and I definitely want to get his thoughts, but it's all borrowed talent. The AAA AAA down in Mexico, they just booked Madison Square Garden for September, and they sold out. That's 30,000 people. So what is AEW that AAA isn't doing in New York City? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And you know what? All the AAA talent is homegrown. None of the AEW talent is homegrown. All I'm saying is you can only go so far with rented talent, especially when you're bringing guys like Jon Moxley, who all three of us are lukewarm on. There's some nostalgia there. I'll give them that. But there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle missing, guys. Skywalker, go ahead and continue, but I had to say that.
Well, Renee, I got to tell you right now, and I'm going to look at it this way. I see where you feel about this. And again, kudos to AAA. I mean, again, how many times would you say, or even think about in 2019 saying, not only has ROH been in the MSG, New Japan has been in MSG, and now you have AAA going from what you're saying to MSG. I mean, again, kudos to them. To me, it's one of those right now, when you're talking about this potentially down the road, and again, it's one of those things to expect the unexpected. And I'm going to tell you right now, to me, well, again, longevity is the key. To me, I very much feel that these wrestlers are very hungry, very young. And if you look at them, they're doing something that a lot of people aren't doing. And that's the opportunity of they're going to the local independents. They're going to the beginnings of and they're looking. You look at the Casino Royale Battle Royal. You had some names that were very well known on the independent team, and you have wrestlers that have been doing everything they can to get somebody to look at them. And I know the fact that you've got people like the WWE, like Ring of Honor, that have their established systems. To me, I look at it from the point of view where they're trying, without have that built yet, to take care of it. And again, guys, the fans have been saying it from all around. AEW is the new buzzword, but I agree with you, Renee. Longevity is the case. And you know something? We could talk about it all night long.
We could.
But I'm going to tell you right now, when Dave Unger comes on in a few minutes, here's a man who was there live. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm really looking forward to hearing what he has to say because, again, here is a man who is right in the thick of it. And I'm going to tell you right now, I had an opportunity to speak with Dave personally, and we were talking about AEW. And the first picture that he sent me was between the American Nightmare and the Natural. I mean, he's a man who's right in the thick of it. I could put it out there. I got to tell you guys, right now things are getting super busy. I want to listen in to other people. And again, the Wrestle Talk family's been, I guess, have been blowing up the phones.
Yeah.
Because, like I said,
sorry, guys.
It's
on hold.
an awesome topic to talk about.
No doubt about it. And listen, we're going to let Nightmare Jones introduce Dave Unger here in about 15 seconds. Here's my last statement concerning borrowed talent. As great as WWE is, that is what their biggest Achilles heel is. They are constantly having to borrow talent from other places. And unfortunately, they don't accentuate on those people's talents. They usually slow them down. And here's my example. All three of the top champions as of late are Ring of Honor guys. Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, Finn Balor. Those are your three top championships, your Universal title, your WWE Heavyweight Championship, and your Intercontinental Champion. All former New Japan Ring of Honor superstars. And that's all I got to say about that.
Got him. Got him.
All right, that said, Jonesy, you know what to do, baby. Bring on our next guest.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, this is awesome. We get to talk to a man that knows his professional wrestling. He was at AEW. He's going to tell us everything he experienced at AEW. Ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about Attitude of Aggression's own Dave Unger.
What is that, fellas?
Wait for it. Just wait for it, Dave. Gotta wait for it, Dave. Turn it up, baby. Nobody ready for us. Ain't nobody.
What's going on, Dave?
What is up, guys? Thank you so much for having me back on the show.
Oh, it has been a pleasure, and you had a really, really busy weekend. You got to you didn't get to watch the Double or Nothing on pay-per-view. No, you were live. You were live.
And in the...
What was your experiences there at Double or Nothing?
Well, I mean, you guys, I'm sure you saw it. I heard you guys, some of the stuff I was listening to when I came, got on the phone and was on hold. Man, Double or Nothing was just, there's a couple different ways to look at it. I mean, from the standpoint of AEW's first ever event, they absolutely hit it so far out of the stadium that it hasn't come down yet. And that was on Saturday. It was a remarkable event. Couldn't have gone really much better. I told people that on other shows I've been on, if you've ever been to an NXT TakeOver event, it was like that and maybe a little bit like a half step above that as far as electricity and excitement. And it was an amazing event. People left that event and they were happy. They were talking about the business. They couldn't wait to see what was next. They didn't leave deflated like it's so often the case with main roster pay-per-views, not takeovers, but main roster pay-per-views are very, a lot of times people just leave there shaking their heads like, what the hell did I just see? And that you didn't get that with Double or Nothing. People were amped. Moxley's appearance at the end really just put a major cherry on top of that whole thing. It was a phenomenal event, very successful. In the long run, I heard you guys talk about longevity and all that sort of stuff. And I think to a certain extent, you guys are right. I would say Double or Nothing, I would qualify that for AEW as a great start. And that's really all it was. It was a great start. And now let's see where they go from there.
Well, you know what, Dave, I'm going to jump in here right away and we'll kind of do a little rapid fire to kick this off. Let me ask you this question right off the button, man. Did you feel like there was any reaction at all by the main competitor, I guess in this case WWE? Obviously, Monday Night Raw was in Kansas City. They did this like electric chair thing that was extremely awkward, where they were letting fans in the crowd ask questions. And Sami Zayn was almost like waiting for someone to ask about AEW. Maybe they just picked the wrong fans, but he himself came out and said it. So how do you feel about how they've reacted to what has happened to what you've already classified as a great start for All Elite Wrestling?
They didn't really react at all. I mean, I didn't see anything on Raw that was an overt reaction. And I don't know what people were expecting. It's like, did you guys really expect Seth Rollins to come out in the first match of Monday Night Raw, do a blade job, and, have blood everywhere and be like, there's our response? That wasn't going to happen. And nor does it have to. I mean, WWE, do they have anything to worry about with AEW? I mean, I think they need to take notice. Sure. I mean, do they have to run scared? No. I agree with you on that point. They damn well better take notice of what happened Saturday night, though, because and just some of the reaction of the fans chanting for AEW at Raw and that sort of thing is something they have to be cognizant of. The whole thing with Sami Zayn, was it a work? Was it not? Was it scripted? Was it not? Who knows? To me, it just seems, I think it was. I think Vince basically was like, yeah, fine. AEW put on a great show, and so what? And, I'm so unimpressed by it, I'm even going to mention them by name. I said last night on somebody's show that it was like Aleister Black and Velveteen Dream, that feud where all Velveteen Dream wanted him to do was to say his name. So
Just
Vince
say it.
and WWE said their name. They said their name and completely diffused any sort of, and it was smart if he did it because it steals some of their thunder. I think you'll see a more profound response this Saturday at NXT TakeOver 25 because I think that roster's absolutely going to knock it way out of the park. NXT always does. They have never failed to deliver. But you give those guys and those girls a little extra motivation like they're going to have because, NXT previously, all they've had to do is compete with the main roster. And they've beaten the main roster performance-wise.
Over and over again.
In my opinion.
Yep.
over and over again. Now they have direct competition. Somebody is out there putting on, getting the crowd charged up like NXT does, putting on matches like NXT does, getting this buzz like NXT does. So I think that roster is going to take that challenge head on. And I think if you're a wrestling fan, whether you love AEW or whether you love WWE or hate one or the other, if you're a wrestling fan, I'm going to pull a Brandy Rhodes here. If you're a wrestling fan and you don't like TakeOver 25, then maybe you're not a wrestling fan. That's how confident I am that it's going to deliver this weekend.
Love it. Love it. Jonesy, jump on in, man.
Absolutely. So, being that you were actually there, what, in your opinion, was the best match of AEW Double or Nothing?
Cody and Dustin, for sure. I thought the story that they told in that match was beautiful. It was brilliant. It was very old school. And yeah, the blood and everything had a big effect on that, and it just gave it a real gritty old school feeling, which you would expect for Dusty Rhodes' sons to get into a bloodbath. That Dusty's somewhere smiling about that right now. I honestly feel that. I thought that told the best story. I love that match. I love everything they did in there. Dustin really turned the crowd around. They started off that match solidly behind Cody, but Dustin really got the crowd going. And I think I said yesterday on a different show that I heard a chant there that I hadn't heard before. Everybody always chants, "You still got it," for some of the older competitors like Dustin. I actually heard a chant there, "Never lost it." And I don't think I've ever heard that chant before. So I give props to the AEW crowd for coming up with that. But I thought that was the best match of the night for me. The surprising one was the Japanese 6-woman tag match, because I tweeted it out the night it happened. I said, I'm not going to lie to you guys because I don't do that. I don't know who any of them are. And they just really impressed me. That was a great match. My wife was there, caught us by surprise. I got to say something about my wife. You asked something about Double or Nothing. My wife, she's been to TakeOver, she's been to 3 WrestleManias, she's seen some tremendous stuff. She gave Double or Nothing a 10 out of 10. And
wow.
Never done that before. So and here's the thing. My wife is a casual fan. Now, if we're being perfectly honest, she's far more educated than the typical casual fan. She's, been around this podcast for 4 years. She's been to multiple events. She was there at TakeOver Dallas. She was at TakeOver New Orleans. 2 of the best shows that I've ever been to. So for a casual fan to sit there and look at this non-WWE product and say that's a perfect show, I was like, wow. Me personally, I didn't think it was as good as NXT TakeOver New York, which I gave that my first ever perfect score. I didn't see a match there that night. Dustin and Cody was great. Was it Gargano Cole 2 out of 3 falls? No.
Mm-mm.
Nor did I expect it to be. But I thought those matches, Dustin and Cody was the best one. I thought the Japanese girls, the 6-way tag match, that surprised me because it seemed like it was like anime brought to life or manga brought to life. And by the end of the match, it was like, okay, this is anything but that. This is really, really good. So, if they can tap into that, that may not be the home ground talent that you were looking for, Renee, but it is closer along those lines of doing something and developing all on their own.
Well, yeah, and I want to throw a Skywalker here. I did just want to make sure that everybody understood. I'm not saying that they can't achieve the homegrown thing. That is yet to be seen, and that's what I think makes it so intriguing. Because if they can sprinkle in what they've done to kick off the promotion temporarily until they can develop a group of guys that are their guys and not just the core 5, right? Which is the elite guys, right? The Bucks, Cody, Kenny, Hangman, and whomever else. When they start having guys that nobody's heard of and they start getting over, that's when I think they'll actually be somewhere where they can actually start talking about competing like something against NXT, which I've said multiple times is my favorite promotion. But Skywalker, why don't you jump on in, man? Because I know you've got some thoughts and some questions.
Well, I got to tell you right now, first of all, I am beyond envious because the idea of Dave Unger, the Attitude of Aggression podcast, being able to be live at the event. We've talked about many events throughout this planet. And that's one of the things I agree with him. is the idea of when you sit here and you look at matches. To me, one of the standouts, or actually, I dare say the standout to me was Dustin Rhodes. I mean, again, a lot of people say, and I like how you said it earlier, Dave. A lot of fans saying, you still got it. But that's one thing that registered with me. A lot of people say when it comes to professional wrestling that people go out there and things have passed them by. I'm going to tell you right now, to me, those two men somewhere higher than we can be, Dusty Rhodes had to be sitting down and smiling during that match. To me, that reminded me of the matches like Harley Race and Ric Flair from Starrcade. That reminds me of the feud between Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard, some of the many classics that the American Dream Dusty Rhodes had. I got to tell you right now, when it comes down to it, to me, AEW delivered. I'm not even going to question that. But I see big things coming on. And the other thing I look at is this, gentlemen. Look at all the things they're doing outside of the box. The sensory room. You have fans that would enjoy wrestling but may not be able to handle the environment. And that was one of those that stood out to me. The idea where they're going to a variety of different avenues. To me, guys, I'm just going to leave it simple. AEW turned a lot of heads once again this weekend.
Well, and I don't think anybody can dispute that whatsoever. Dave, I wanted to jump back in here and ask you this question. So the experience before and after, were you able to visit StarCast? You know, the time that you spent, you know, kind of anticipating and waiting for the show. What is that environment like? Because to me, it always kind of took me to another level when I went from just watching wrestling on TV to when I started going to Metro Pro Wrestling here in Kansas City. It totally kind of flipped a switch because of the camaraderie, not just between the fans, but the ability that you had to kind of spend times with the wrestlers that you would never, ever have if you went to a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown taping at Sprint Center downtown. What was that environment like, man? Can you walk us a little bit through the weekend and what it's like to actually be out there, Ground Zero?
That's too much. It was a little bit confusing as to exactly where a lot of this stuff was going on. And then I think Cody and them were doing press conferences over at Caesars, and I think StarCast was somewhere else. And we got in pretty late on Thursday night, and so Friday we just kind of, you know, we went over to MGM Grand and we walked MGM Grand through the casinos to find the Grand Garden Arena. And, you know, it was about mid-afternoon on Friday that the AEW people started to come in. You saw people with AEW shirts and you were able to get the AEW merch and that sort of thing. You know, the atmosphere going in there on Saturday was palpable excitement, I guess would be the best way to describe it. A lot of people looking forward to it. A lot of people, you know, it was AEW created a lot of hope amongst wrestling fans, which I know is not a word we use a whole lot on wrestling podcasts or to talk about the industry is hope. But that's a good way to describe it. They were very hopeful that AEW would deliver, that this would really be an extension of All In under the AEW brand. And I think to a large extent it was. So, but I think atmosphere-wise, I would compare it very much to an NXT TakeOver event. Anybody who's been to a TakeOver, which is a much more vocal, much more hardcore, much more rowdy crowd. And not that they're out of control, but they're definitely into it. And the AEW crowd was very much, I mean, almost exactly like that, probably a little bit beyond that, I would have to say. So it's a tremendous experience. You know, they do seem a little bit more accessible to the fans and media, at least at this point in time. You know, Tony Khan, Cody, the Bucks, they haven't done anything as far as like a social media policy to limit access to any of their people like WWE. You know, unless you're on their christened list from Vince McMahon, you're not going to get to talk to anybody. And AEW doesn't seem to be doing that. So they were accessible. It's just a question you had to find them. Vegas is a pretty big place, and lots of big casinos and lots of lights and bells and energy and activity going on. So you know, it wasn't always the easiest place to pinpoint certain things. But man, I tell you, when WrestleMania goes there in a few years, when that Raiders Stadium is built, forget about it. That city's going to just explode.
Oh,
but you know,
that's driving distance for me, man. That sounds like a lot of fun. Jonesy, I don't know if you want to fly in and then drive over for that, dude. I know you've got at least another question on your mind, but dude, I would absolutely love to do that. I hadn't even thought that far ahead. Jeez Louise, we could be going to a WrestleMania in Las Vegas. How incredible would that be? Jeez.
2023, man. That's my prediction, 2023. They'll do LA in 2021. They'll do Atlanta or New Orleans again in 2022, maybe Minneapolis. And then I think 2023 they come back out here and they do WrestleMania in Vegas. Really, I really think that they're gonna get the most out of that Raiders Stadium, and they've got the T-Mobile Arena right there for takeover. And if you've been to Mania in New Orleans, anybody who's been there, you can walk to everything. This will be exactly the same. I mean, exactly. They'll be able to tram people from the strip over the highway, basically a half mile to the Raiders Stadium. And it's going to be, I mean, I was there for WrestleMania 9, the one at Caesar's Palace, which was crazy enough back there in 1993. And you take that and multiply it by 50, and that's what we're going to get. It's going to happen. I mean, I'm telling you, it's going to happen within the next 5 years.
Well, I'll say this, as a Kansas City, hey, Jonesy, as a Kansas City Chiefs fan, taking a cheap shot here, I'm going to say that that's about the only way they're going to fill up that crappy Raider stadium, because we all know that the Raiders suck. Hey. Sorry, Joe.
Hey.
What?
Listen here. Are we talking about my Oakland Raiders?
Yeah, yes.
Raiders?
Yes, we are. I'm throwing shots, but it's your turn. Go ahead.
I just have one more question. And being there live, how cool was it seeing Cody Rhodes' sledgehammer shot on the chair? How awesome was that?
Oh yeah, I mean it was at that point it was like, you know, things got very real right there, because it's like no more this sugarcoating. You know, we're not really competition to them, and this isn't really a war unless it actually is. If you listen to Jericho, that sort of thing. But when Cody took that sledgehammer to that throne with that symbol on there, you're like, okay, there you go. The gloves are off now. That's a definite shot at Triple H and WWE. And I think, you know, John Moxley showing up, you know, where everybody was thinking, well, we're not really sure if he'll show up or what's going to happen. And then to have him come in and then have that followed up with word that he signed with AEW. And then you listen to Talk is Jericho today. That whole interview was very eye-opening as to just how frustrated the guy has been for a very long time. So I thought when Cody did that to Hunter's symbology, you know, the symbology there, I thought that was really cool. The crowd really, they popped big for that. They knew exactly what that meant. And, you know, I mean, the AEW crowd was very vocal. I can't imagine that a whole bunch of them there actually actively hate WWE, but they're actually desperate for something different, competition, an alternative, whatever you want to call it. AEW gave them, by and large, what they wanted that night. And Cody smashing the symbol of Triple H was definitely something those fans wanted to see. They want to see a war. They want to see the Monday Night Wars reborn. They think it'll be great for the industry, which it probably will be. So I think a lot of people there, the majority of people there, like the fact that AEW was taking the fight right to WWE. So it was a cool moment, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Luke Skywalker Roberts, you got another question?
Well, I got to put it right now, gentlemen, and I think we had mentioned it earlier. And Dave, I just want to throw it out there to you. We talked about it earlier in the hour. What if you take the whole AEW Double or Nothing experience? If we look at it 5 years down the road, what do you think this weekend brings to the wrestling fan, and what do you think it brings to the professional wrestling business?
AEW is in existence in 5 years, and they are not relegated to TNA Impact status during that time frame, then I think you look back on Double or Nothing as the launch pad for a revolution in the industry. Because I think if AEW is still successful 5 years from now, then that should have been plenty of time for them to, maybe they may never make as much money as WWE, because WWE has their fingers in all sorts of things, in branding and marketing and merchandising and stuff like that. They may never get to that point. But if they're still around in 5 years and they're not kicking the crap out of WWE in the ratings regularly, then, I would consider that a failure. So if you're still around in 5 years and we're talking AEW versus WWE 5 years from now, then Double or Nothing was quite possibly next to the first WrestleMania, the single most important wrestling show of all time. I don't know if that's an exaggeration or hyperbole. I mean, if they are number one or number two solidly, and if they're beating WWE in the rankings in 5 years, then yeah, I think Double or Nothing, if not second most important, you can put it top five for sure. I think it has a legacy unto itself if AEW succeeds.
Wow. Well, you know what? That's a great way to summarize what we could potentially be looking back at in 5 years. And I guess to round things out, Dave, we also did ask a little bit earlier if you had to rate in a vacuum this past weekend what it meant and the show itself actually being in the building, which again, I'm with Skywalker and Nightmare Jones on this. I'm a little bit envious and a little bit jealous that you were actually in the building, man. If you had to give it a rating from 1 out of 5, 5 super kicks being the highest, 1 being the lowest, man, what would you rate it on your scale of wrestling shows?
I would give the show itself, the action in the ring and everything at like a 4.5 out of 5. I tell you, the one match I didn't feel that much was the women's match. I mean, Britt Baker is very talented. Kylie Ray is very talented. Nyla Rose, I mean, that has its own appeal and that sort of thing. And that's fine. I thought that was a pretty cool thing. I actually thought she would go over. Awesome Kong was there just to get a pop, and she really didn't do anything except get kicked in the face and hang on the side of the ring or outside. Look, AEW's nowhere near competitive with WWE as far as the women go. They don't have anybody like Charlotte or Becky or Bayley or God knows what's going on with Sasha right now. So AEW's got a long, don't kid yourself, a long way to go before they are competitive as far as the women. The men and the tag teams are fine. So that's kind of why I ding it a little bit, was I just didn't feel the women's match, the Fatal 4-Way, that much. But otherwise, it was an incredible show. Purely on in-ring stuff, I'd say it's a 4.5. As far as the buzz it's created, the excitement it's created, the electricity it's created, and just, I mean, if this leads to, I guess Fyter Fest is the next event they're doing. Those tickets are selling really well. We'll see what happens with Fight for the Fallen. I'm sure All Out will sell out in record time, and a lot of people there. It's in Chicago, so the CM Punk watch is probably officially on right now. But overall, Renee, I mean, it's easily a 5 out of 5. In Meltzer's scales, it'd be a 6-star match, that sort of thing. Easy, no problem.
Easy, no problem. Well, you're hearing it from somebody who loves this profession, just like all of us here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Attitude of Aggression's very own Dave Unger. Dave, I know you're probably still on that high, man, and you still found some time to join us here on the show today, dude. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your thoughts. And obviously, we're always wishing you continued success. We always love the fact that we can say, hey, Dave is a member of the Wrestle Talk family, bro. I'm going to let everybody else say goodbye. But before I do that, what do you have coming up as far as shows, man? I know you're doing some pretty cool stuff. I know you're going back and reviewing old shows. I know you did Payback 2015, which is a huge deal. And then you're obviously going to continue to cover WWE and everything else that they've got going on, man. So what's up next for you and the Attitude of Aggression?
Well, yeah, the Payback 15 thing is it was actually recorded in 2015. There was a glitch with the the host for the podcast last year, so a lot of the older episodes vanished. So I've been like re-releasing them to get them back on the website. So yeah, I mean.
Oh, that's dope. All right, I didn't know that. That's incredible. That actually sounds pretty awesome as well.
Yeah, it's actually, you'll see stuff like that from, things that were happening leading into WrestleMania 32, which is probably when the podcast really got going, that whole thing. But a lot of the stuff I do, like these semi-retro reviews where I take a pay-per-view from like a month or two ago, and I kind of like review it, recap it, and bring it current and kind of tie in some current storylines. So, things like that have been going on. We did some stuff with comic book movies and things like that. We've been doing a little bit more things like with that because Endgame got everybody just completely comic book nerd times 20,000, that sort of thing. So people wanted to debate, superhero movies. So I was like, all right, fine, that's cool. So that's kind of what we got going on. I'm not putting out episodes as much as I'd like to, just because life gets in the way, and that day job can be a real killer. So, but yeah, we're still active, still going to shows, still tweeting about stuff. Proud to say I had Chris Jericho like and retweet 2 of the tweets that I did from the show, and they both went kind of quasi-viral. The power of Jericho. I mean, I never saw any of the stuff I've ever tweeted got that kind of traction just because one guy liked it and retweeted it. It was pretty funny.
That is awesome, and now I'm even more jealous of you. Damn it, Dave. All right, Jonesy, you want to say goodbye to Dave, man, before we close out this segment? Joe. Jonesy, are you with me, buddy? All right. Okay, that's odd. Maybe some audio connection issues there with Jonesy. I know I still have you, Skywalker. Why don't you help me say goodbye to Dave Unger, man?
Well, Dave, I got to tell you right now, it's always an honor and a privilege to have you here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Again, I have to say big props. Get an opportunity. I know most recently they had an opportunity. I know the Wrestle Talk podcast most recently had Adrian Surge and the King of Chaos, Ricky Cruz. If you head over to Attitude of Aggression, they also have a very in-depth interview, the Dynamo Pro plug here, of the storied rivalry between the Wind of Destruction Makazi and Lights Out Adrian Surge. Well, Dave, I got to say it's always a pleasure to be in contact with you, sir. I know you're all the way across the country, but you prove that you're still a part of the Wrestle Talk family. I want to say thank you for coming on the program tonight.
Thanks a lot, man.
Anytime, guys. Always like coming on here. And if you got Adrian Surge on your show, you guys are even cooler in my book, because that's one of my favorite guys to talk to right there. So thank you very much.
Absolutely great. And Joe, I believe we have you back quickly, man. Say goodbye to Dave.
Dave, thank you for coming on the show. You are amazing. You are welcome to come on anytime that you want to. Good luck on the Attitude of Aggression. Good stuff there, and just keep up the good work until next time, sir.
You got it, man. Thank you guys very much. I will be talking to you soon.
Grace and peace, brother.
Absolutely. Peace.
Peace.
All right, Wrestle Talk family, we are getting ready to go to break. A special huge shout out to our boy Luke Skywalker Roberts for joining us for the majority of the first hour, breaking down this AEW thing. Man, no one better to help give you perspective on pro wrestling. A man who's been in the business for well over 20 years now, both as an in-ring competitor, as a promoter, referee, man, you name it. Luke Skywalker, you have done it, sir. We love you. Thank you for being on the show, man. Anything you want to say before we let you get out of here?
Well, I got to tell you guys, make it a point, always check out the Dynamo Pro Wrestling on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram. We got a lot of great events coming up this summer. Our next event will be held at Gateway Harley-Davidson later on this month. Make it a point to check that out. Also, make it a point to check out the Wrestle Talk podcast, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all over social media. And you know what? You need to stay tuned, because we got a great second hour. I was talking with Renee earlier, and I got to tell you, definitely a great second hour. I got to shout it out. My broadcast colleague, Rodell, is going to be very happy. Let's Go Blues. Game 2, I believe, is going on as we speak. I got to tell you guys, it's definitely, with the Cardinals and the Blues and professional wrestling, it's definitely a hot time in sports in the STL.
It is indeed. Thank you, Skywalker. Jonesy, tell everybody about the mugs one more time. Take us to break, and then we'll come back with a lot of fire, a lot of passion, and a lot of weird with the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion, the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter, in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Take us a break, Jonesy.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, go to the WrestleTalkPodcast.com and pick up one of our mugs there. Do us a favor, get yourself a mug. If you haven't done that yet, make sure that you do that. You can get it customized. You can get it, say whatever that you want to. Just go do it. Just click on the merchandise tab and get yourself a Wrestle Talk Podcast mug. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back in 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
So yeah, you're always on the run now, running after somebody. You gotta get it somehow. I think you got to slow down before you start slowing. I think you're headed for a breakdown. So be careful not to show it. You really don't remember what is something that you said. All the voices in your head, calling Gloria. Gloria, don't you think about it? If everybody wants you, why isn't anybody calling? You don't have to answer. Leave them hanging on the line. Calling Gloria. Gloria. I think they got the number. Gloria. I think they got the area. Gloria. That you've been living under. Gloria. But you really don't remember. What is something that they said? All the voices in your head, calling Gloria.
Yo, what up? Night Out, Nightmare Jones. What up, Wrestle Talk fam? Do it for y'all. Check me out. Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. Even them haters can't hate us no more. So unlock your door, cause we got some more. Every Wednesday we here, keeping it raw. Night Out, Nightmare Jones, and all the best jets. Like a double barrel pointed right at your chest. WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Smashing and killing it like the night of the prom.
Smashing it and killing it like the night at the farm. That's my favorite line from that entire thing.
Hey, that means I did my job, baby.
You know what you meant when you said that. You know what you meant. Before we get into the Wrestle Talk, the FWWC, there was one thing I need to do this past weekend. A very dear wrestling friend of mine passed away, Magic Mike Skills. He was an amazing manager. You know, he was a big guy, and he did not care, you know, what anybody thought. You know, he come out with his big belly hanging out, you know, shirtless. Heck, his recent things he was doing, he was walking around as a male stripper, and you know, it's just Magic Mike Skills. He was an amazing guy. He made everybody laugh, and Magic Mike, you will be missed, sir. I just had to do that tonight.
Well, here's the thing, Jonesy, and a lot of people ask us why we do the Snippets of Truth every couple of shows. And I know that in the past, even from some talent, we've kind of gotten a little crap. And entertainment makes sure, but the fact of the matter is this, dude. We all go through stuff, and I would like to believe that there's a higher power that helps navigate us through some of these struggles. That's why we pray, man. And there's guys like Magic Mike whose life ended maybe earlier than we all expected. And I would like to believe that that's not the end of his story. I would like to believe that there's a heaven where one day we can see him again. And if you don't believe that, that's fine. But I do. And so when we lose somebody like this, Jonesy, we want to hold out hope. Obviously, we're sad, okay? Want to make sure that their families know that we appreciate what they're going through, and obviously are super sympathetic to their situations. But at the same time, bro, I know you and me agree on this, Jonesy. There's still hope. And we heard that word a little bit earlier when we were talking to Dave. There's hope that you might one day see him again. So rest in peace to Magic Mike, bro, and love to him and his family. Hopefully they navigate this situation without too much pain. That's for real, Jonesy. I mean that. So that said, you ready to move on?
Yes. I am ready.
Let's do it.
Daniel Jones is ready. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do right now is we're going to do the Not Fantasy Wrestling. This is your opportunity to be a professional wrestler without actually having to get into the wrestling ring. We do picks for Monday Night Raws and SmackDowns and pay-per-views, and if you're lucky enough, you may end up getting a championship belt sent to you. All you have to do is send the belt back to whoever beats you for the a belt, unless you never get beat, and then you can keep the belt forever. But everybody gets beat at least once. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go and bring in this gentleman right here, and it's the Night Owl's favorite person, absolute favorite person in the FWWC, and that is the Red Brand General Manager, Marcus Mayhem. What's going on, sir?
It's always good to be back on the Wrestle Talk podcast. What's going on, guys?
Same
wow.
old thing.
Go ahead, go do your thing. Just go. Just do you, Nightmare Jones. I already know what this is gonna. I'm sorry. Just go.
See, you see what I have to deal with, Marcus? I'm trying to be nice. You're being nice. We didn't say anything bad, and
nothing.
The Night Owl just he's already hating on us.
Exactly. He didn't even greet me or anything. I said, "How you doing, guys? I'm trying to turn a new leaf." And I ever said nothing bad. I didn't say nothing bad last week, even though he said very mean things to me. And I'm trying to be nice to the Night Owl, and it proves and shows that he is very biased. Even when someone's trying to be nice to him, he is still being nice. It's just.
You know what I think it is? I think that the Night Owl is still salty that El Mata is the Universal Champion. And the champion.
He needs to check his blood pressure for all that saltiness he's got going on. I just have to throw that out there. So, Night Owl, I know you're back there. You're probably sweating profusely because, you so much salt and your high blood pressure and your fear of me, but it's okay, Night Owl. All right? I'm not here to start any mess with you.
You're not here to start any mess. You're not here to start any mess. Are you serious, Marcus Mayhem? We have a huge match this past Monday or Tuesday, whatever the hell it was. And you got the Bishop, you got El Mata, and what do? You approve the match, and then you cancel the match, and then you approve it, and then you interfere and screw it all up. You want to talk about being nice and not being provoked and oh, look at Night Owl, he's so salty, he's always pissed off because you need to do your damn job. I'm sick and tired of you.
No, I did do my job.
You did. You're throwing stuff around. You're screwing with people, man. You're screwing with people.
Listen. I was informed right before the match. Bishop came out, and I was informed that El Mata was not going to be able to participate in the match. So you know what? I decided to cancel the match. I was being very professional. I was very calm towards Bishop. I said, listen, we can't have the match.
No,
And
you did
then
not. You said he didn't
Almas
deserve the
decided to
match.
show
You're a
up.
liar, Marcus Mayhem, and so are you, Nightmare Jones.
So, hey.
You're
Almas
liars.
decided to show up, and I appreciate El Mata showing up for his match because he felt that he had an obligation to fulfill regardless of what happened, and he decided to come in the ring to start the match. So as my duty as Red General Manager, I made the match legal again. We started the match. I mean, what's the problem with that?
What's the problem? You and your own roster member, Madman Joe, couldn't keep yourselves under control, and you went and provoked him, and you guys started fighting, and we couldn't even get a result. I mean, how does that benefit the FWWC universe? Can you tell me that, Mayhem?
It benefits because what does the FWWC universe want? They want controversy. They want action. They want talking points. They want drama. And guess what? That's what Marcus Mayhem does. And unfortunately for Madman Joe, he crossed the line, and unfortunately he had the audacity to try and come at me sideways. Luckily, El Mata held me back because he must have forgot who I am and what I'm about. But I will say this while we're on the line, Madman Joe, I hope you're listening, because at the FWWC Super Showdown, I, Marcus Mayhem, the GM of Red Brand, has decided to book a little match. So it would be myself versus Madman Joe in a no DQ, no holds barred match. So anything goes, and I'm going to teach him a lesson about respect when it comes to the GM.
Wow. I got to admit, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, there is Marcus Mayhem, the general manager of Red Brand. You can hear the crowd, Jonesy, in the background. I kind of like this. I like it because despite what Mayhem did, now Madman Joe has the opportunity to get his hands on Mayhem, which Mayhem was provoking him at ringside, and who could blame him? I mean, honestly, you're getting provoked. Your tag team partner got screwed out of a match, and then it restarted again all of a sudden so conveniently because Mata decided that he wanted to show up and attack Bishop from behind. I mean, there's just a lot of shenanigans here, but at least we get a match. Marcus Mayhem gets off of his throne for a second and actually comes down in the ring and gets his hands dirty. I'm in favor of it. I'm surprised, pleasantly surprised.
Who's Madman Joe? Never heard of the guy.
Oh, shut your mouth, Nightmare Jones. Stop it. All right, well, up next, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, we always give a little bit more time to our general managers. We've got a rapid fire going on for the next 7 minutes. We're going to go ahead and bring on 7 superstars in 7 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Starting off with a man that's been on hold since the very beginning of the show, a man that we just talked about, a man who had an opportunity to face off one-on-one with the hardcore champion, universal champion, tag team champion, El Mataratas this past Tuesday night, the one, the only, the Bishop, Devontae D.
Good evening, my brothers. How you all doing this evening?
Good.
What is up? What is up? Bishop, man, you got a lot to tell us in a very little amount of time, man. Tell us what the heck your last couple of days has been like.
Well, Brother Night Owl, my past 2 nights have been quite busy. You see, the first night on Monday Night Raw, I had a match with Fallen. The first ever time that I stepped inside of the ring with him. I was victorious. And then the second night on SmackDown, I had a match against El Mataratas himself. At least I thought. The match was started, then it stopped. But then things broke down, and El Mata found out that the Bishop can brawl back too. And I'm pretty sure that El Mata and I are gonna lock up once again. And as far as my boy Madman Joe goes, I got his back. And I will be at ringside in his match just to make sure things are fair at Super Showdown.
Well, love to hear that. You know what? The Bishop is a guy who has already proven that he could hang with the best of them, and he was doing that, Nightmare. I don't care what you want to say. He was hanging with El Mata during his match on Tuesday night until, of course, the shenanigans happened on the outside. Thanks a lot for ruining a great match, Marcus Mayhem. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, representing the Italian segment of Kansas City from good old Columbus Park, we're going to bring on Big T, the Paisan.
Gentlemen, how dare y'all let Big T go stress behind two mama licks when the man with the most prestige comes on board and wants to talk to give him the limelight?
Well, you just happen to be third in line, Big T, the Paisan. I don't know what you expect from me. I mean, just because you walk in the house doesn't mean I'm going to have a cannoli ready for you every time. I mean, come on.
Hey, Night Owl, let's cut to the chase. It's always nothing but love with you, my man. But let's cut better to the chase. You see, Big T's been on a roll lately. You see, a gentleman got in the way of Big T, and I had to take his eyeball out. But and he won't have the waiver to handle his business. So first and foremost, I'm sending this message out to the Warriors Heart Champion, the U.S. Champion. I hear you talking on the promos. I hear you talking on the page. Your time is coming with Big T, and that U.S. title will be coming back to Columbus Park, son. So, Mr. Black, I hope you're hearing me. It's time we did the right thing.
All right. Well, Big T, the Paisan, I know Curtis Black is going to be listening. And ladies and gentlemen, we are only 2.5 minutes away from the Ring of Honor World Television Champion Shane Taylor, baby. East Cleveland's own. That's East 1999. Never mind. We'll get to that in just a minute, but we got to keep running through some of these superstars from the FWWC. Up next, the one, the only, El Luchador. El Luchador, what's on your mind tonight, man?
How's it going, everybody? How's it going?
Hey, we're A-OK, man.
Good,
You're hearing a lot of heat tonight. Make sure you bring it.
Yeah, you know, a lot of heat coming from me, man. You know, everybody saw what took place on Monday Night Raw. Challenge, you know, me, Voorhees, and of course Daniel Grimm tore the house down all over Sprint Center. First blood, Hell in a Cell match. Man, oh man. You know, I was chasing after the impossible dream for 4 years, you know, becoming Warriors Heart Champion for the first time in my career. But it slipped through my fingers yet again. And then, let's see, yesterday on SmackDown Live Challenge, I lose to the very man that I respect, Big Keith Paisan. So basically this week, I don't blame anybody but myself. I'm definitely trying to make a comeback, and I will become champion again in this company. Mark my words.
Well, you know what? That's not something I doubt. El Luchador, you and that Warriors Heart Championship, I think, are destined to be together at some point. Unfortunately, after 3 separate attempts, you were unable to capture the Warriors Heart Championship. Somehow, some way, at this point, I'm not 100% sure, Daniel Grimm slid his way back into the match, and he recaptured for the second time the Warriors Heart Championship. We have one more caller on the line for the FWWC segment. And of course, what would be an episode or a segment of the FWWC here on the Wrestle Talk podcast if we didn't talk to the man that resides in the deepest, darkest part of the jungle, the one, the only, the Battle Cat?
You know, I'm gracing my presence to the FWWC. Normally, I really don't do this, but, you know, I have to see how y'all doing today.
We're good, Battle Cat. Little bit of time, a lot on your mind, man. What has been going on with you these last couple of days?
You see, last night, I defeated 2 people at one time, even though Monday night wasn't the same. You know, Jonesy got a win over me, you know, good riddance. You know, that's what, like, tally it up, that's what, 2 wins over me now. So I'm pretty sure he swam some laps in this little swimming pool and feeling good about himself. But hey,
I
that's
swam
okay with
laps,
me.
I drank some beer, I drank some champagne. I was a happy man.
You know, Jonesy, we may fight a lot, but you know, very few times I gotta make you look good, man. So thank me for that. You look good because of me.
I make myself look good, thank you. It hurts to be this pretty. Mwah.
Oh, will you stop it, Nightmare Jones? Let our guest get his thoughts out. Battle Cat, I know you got a lot on your mind as we get ready for Super Showdown and things continue on here. Obviously, there's been some significant trades in the FWC. Any thoughts on that and how the landscape may change now that you've got superstars like DJZ and King Jerobi on Blue Brand? You obviously have Fallen and Enchantress over on Red. I mean, lots of things have been happening, man. Do you see anything changing, or are you just going to keep doing what you always do?
Oh, yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, like, we got two big superstars on Red, and they got two big superstars added over to Blue. I mean, anytime a trade happens, it's always catastrophic, and it always shakes things up. For instance, I was on Blue Brand. I got traded over to Red Brand. Guess what happened? Red Brand is the hottest thing popping now. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm getting at?
I do.
I mean, yeah. Red Brand is on top of the world now ever since the Battle Cat got there. And it's going to stay that way as long as the Battle Cat's on Red. Whatever brand the Battle Cat may be on, it's going to be on top of the world. Right now, it's the Red Brand. Hopefully it stays that way.
Well, you know what? There's a good chance that it will, because guys like the Battle Cat from the deepest, darkest part of the jungle always know how to represent. I want to make sure that I let everybody know that what you just heard is a small segment that we do every single show as we show love to the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion, the FWWC. I'm one of the co-founders of it. There's a lot of people out there who love professional wrestling, but for whatever reason, it may be financial, it may be mental, it may be physical, they can't pursue their dream of actually being like Shane Taylor and living out their dreams and being a professional wrestler. They, for whatever reason, they can't do it. The FWWC gives those fans an alternative. More information on the FWWC at the WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Same place you can get these mugs, baby. But anyway, thank you guys that tuned in tonight during the FWWC segment and that called in. You guys always bring a lot of passion. We are just a few seconds away from bringing on Shane Taylor, the Ring of Honor World Television Champion. But before we go there, we have to make a quick pit stop and catch up with our boy Big Daddy P for tonight's edition of Snippets of Truth. Big Daddy P, we do not have the music loaded yet. We had some audio file issues, but we do still want to bring you on because I understand that we have a very special prayer request. So Big Daddy P, welcome back on the show. Can you hit us real quick with those snippets of truth?
You know how I fuck up the bumper with you? I gotta do what I gotta do.
Oh, we do have music. Hey, I didn't know we had the music. It worked.
It looks like you did have my music.
Yeah, baby.
Good job in terms, Timmy.
What up,
Big
Daddy P? What's up, man?
Hey, listen.
Hit us with those snippets, baby.
Listen, life is too short. We got a prayer request today from Elron from Arkansas in regards to his mom. So we definitely need to pray about that. I also do want to let you know Big Daddy P's getting back in the ring again at Tennessee All Pro Wrestling coming up next Saturday, as well as June 23rd with Blue Sky Wrestling. I'm partnering up with Bill Dundee and our buddy Bobby Eaton. Kind of a long story, but the Lord finally put us together this week, and that was a huge blessing. So let's get this word of prayer so that you guys can go on with your Ring of Honor guest. Father God, thank you so much for this time. Father, we bring to the table right now Elbron from Arkansas and prayer for his mother, that you would continue to heal her. We know that there's some medical issues going on. And Father God, we know that you are the great physician. So thank you in advance for what you're going to do to answer these prayers. I thank you so much for this wonderful program that you and you alone have put together. Continue to watch over all the wrestlers that are injured. Continue to heal them so they can come back and do what they love to do. And we love you so much. And we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen and amen. Big Daddy P, quick question for me, and then I'll throw it to Joe, and we'll let you get out of here. Bro, what are you doing? Are you being the general manager again? Are you going to be actually stepping in the ring? What are you doing?
Probably a combination of a few different things. I'll be a ring announcer, but I'll also be doing interviews. And you just never know who might cross over Big Daddy P and have to pay the ultimate price.
Oh, boy. You're hanging out with Bill Dundee, a former guest of the Wrestle Talk podcast, as well as the beautiful Bobby Eaton. Great, good. You're keeping some good company, Barry.
Listen, just like the song says, I got to do what I got to do.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, Big Daddy P, thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Snippets of Truth with Big Daddy P. Every single show, we've been doing it since the very beginning, man, and that will never, ever change. That said, Nightmare Jones, you know what time it is, baby. The big man is stepping in the building, repping the East 1999. Why don't you intro this man and hit him with some music?
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the Ring of Honor World Television Champion, Shane Taylor. Oh my goodness, this is going to be absolutely amazing. And so tell me, hit that music. What is going on, sir?
Boom, look who stepped in the room. What's going on? Y'all, appreciate you having me on.
Oh my goodness, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you on, sir. I mean, it's not every day that we get the Ring of Honor World Television Champion on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Am I not right, Renee?
That's just some facts right there, Nightmare Jones. Those are facts.
I'm going to go ahead and let Renee kick it off because he's been chomping at the bit. So, Renee, go ahead and fire off whatever questions that you have.
No doubt about it. And you know what, Shane, man, thank you for making time for us. I know we'd originally scheduled this interview for a week ago. I know you had some things come up, but you're a man of your word. And so are we here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. So thank you for coming on this week instead, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. That was 100% my fault. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you guys for rescheduling and giving me the honor of coming on. So thank you.
No doubt. All right, so I'm going to kind of come at something at a left field for you. I hear you're a little bit of a gamer. I hear you like the Madden. I hear you like the 2K and all that. So here's the question, because I'm on the 2K19 right now, okay? So if you have to face off Pink Diamond, 100 overall all-time LeBron James in NBA 2K19, who do you choose in a game that goes to 5 points? Who do you choose to go against that LeBron James?
I would have to pick the Pink Diamond, Galaxy Opal, or whatever it is, Hakeem Olajuwon. You got a guy who can have tremendous post moves. He has great defense. So going against a guy like LeBron, you're going to be able to use your size, back him down, work on those post moves. And if he does try to get to the rim, hopefully he's got enough defense and shot blocking to challenge the shot.
Yes, and that's a great choice, because if anybody watches and pays attention to 2K, two of the 4 guys that actually beat him had that Hakeem Olajuwon card. So, Shane, I know you be real. You know what I mean?
I'm a student of every game, man. I'm a student of every game. Madden, 2K, wrestling, no matter what it is. If I put my time into it, I'm going to make sure I know it.
All right, no doubt. All right, next thing, keeping on the same theme. Man, as far as gaming goes, I know you're a connoisseur in a lot of ways. Bro, favorite wrestling game of all time. Do you have one?
Ooh, that's a good one. As far as I can remember right now, either No Mercy on like the 64, or like one of the old school like Fire Pro Wrestling games from like the original, like either PlayStation console or something like that, was some of the best gameplay, with all the moves, all the customizing, all of the options that you had. But just like through me and my peers, that game growing up with like No Mercy was just, you could do everything, be everybody. I think it was one of the first few games that had like the entrance a little bit. You know what I mean? So I don't think anything's topped that since.
Wow, you know what? Those are two excellent choices. My personal favorite is WrestleMania 2000, but that's just me. That's just me. All right, so
yeah, but like so many of those games follow the same style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, but I feel like No Mercy was the preeminent.
No doubt, no doubt. And then I got one more question. I'll throw it over to Joe. So you captured, and I think you're setting a little bit of a precedent here, if you don't mind me saying, because you, sir, captured the Ring of Honor World Television Championship in Toronto, and it just so happens that there's a team out of Toronto that is vying for a championship starting this Thursday. My question is
Talk about it.
are you, Shane, are you feeling like maybe they're going to follow your lead and be able to pull away the championship you did in Toronto against Jeff Cobb? Or are they going to fall a little bit short to the hated Golden State Warriors?
Listen, being that they're from Toronto, I don't know how they finished the job, but I do know I feel like I inspired them to live up to what they could be. You know, so I got them to the finals.
Yes.
You know, after watching me shake up the world in Toronto, they decided to go out and shake it up again for Milwaukee. You know, so Toronto, you're welcome.
Kawhi, you're welcome.
I put that confidence in Kawhi to lead him over. You know, the Bucks to lead him past Philly. You're welcome. So hopefully they can. You know, I think. The only thing that people love more than greatness in today's society is to watch greatness fall. So I think that people are ready to see somebody else's NBA champion.
Wow, I love it. Well, I got a bunch of wrestling related questions that I want to hit you with, but I'm going to go ahead and defer to my boy Nightmare Jones. Nightmare, I know you've been a Ring of Honor fan for a very, very long time, so you're very familiar with today's guest, Shane Taylor of Ring of Honor, of course, the Ring of Honor World Television Champion. Why don't you jump on in here with any thoughts or questions you might have, bro?
Absolutely. So you were actually part of you were the enforcer of the faction, the Rebellion, which included Kenny King, Brett Titus, and Caprice Coleman. Can you tell us a little bit about the Rebellion?
The Rebellion was the first group that I was in Ring of Honor after, of course, my splitting with Keith Lee. And I honestly, with 3 of Ring of Honor's veterans, I think all of them have been in Ring of Honor in some capacity for at least 8 to 10 years now. You know what I mean? So to have veterans like that as a new guy coming in to help me prepare myself mentally, physically, emotionally for what that stage can bring was an absolute godsend. To have, you know, Kenny with the business side, Rhett with the training, and Caprice doing everything in between. They helped me avoid a lot of the minefields and things of that sort, and pitfalls that you could have as a new guy on that stage. You know, body language and things of that sort just speak more than your words do. So just the ability to be aware of my surroundings at all times, be aware of who's around me at all times, and then just carving my own path and making sure that I'm making the right decisions in ring, out of ring. All that stuff has been completely invaluable to me, and I can't thank them enough.
Dope.
Absolutely. The Rebellion was a awesome group, and I was definitely sad when you guys were forced to November 18th, 2017. You were in the Ring of Honor Survivor of the Fittest, and you got to wrestle a guy by the name of Punishment Martinez. Now, Punishment Martinez has been on the Best of Talk podcast. So what can you tell us about your experiences with the one and only Punishment Martinez?
I mean, what can I say that, you know, you guys don't already know? The man's one hell of a fighter, one hell of a performer. There's a reason, you know, he's in Tampa right now. There's a reason he's, you know, doing the things that he's doing. He's former Ring of Honor World Television Champion. My hat's off to him. There's very few people, not just in Ring of Honor, but on the planet, I feel like, that can, stand toe to toe and strike with me, or stand toe to toe, stand in the pocket and throw hands with your boy. So he's one of those people. So for me, anybody that can do that has my respect, and that brings the competitor out of me. So hats off to him.
Absolutely. Now, my last question, if I throw it back to my co-host, you're the Ring of Honor World Television Champion. What is that?
Say that one more time.
Shane, you're the Ring of Honor World Television
Yes.
Champion. What is next?
That's right.
Shane Taylor.
That's right, man. You are correct, sir. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you've ever seen, boy. And for me, what is next is what I've told everybody on social media and what Ring of Honor posted when I did my promo, and that is that my plans are to be the single most dominant television champion that the company has ever seen. The benchmark for that record is held by none other than Jay Lethal, who Ring of Honor considers their greatest champion of all time. Jay and I, we have similar backgrounds, but yet we have wildly different backgrounds at the same time. The way we approach wrestling, the way we approach business, the way we approach life in general is different. Ring of Honor, he is the ultimate company man, and take that how you will. I am not that guy. I am not going to be a guy that you can just trot out in front of CEOs or in front of shareholders. I'm not that guy. So I do what I want, how I want to, when I want to, and in order to really get the most revenge that I possibly can on Ring of Honor for not believing in me and not wanting me to be champion, is to topple the records of the man that they think is the greatest champion of all time, which is 567 days and 35 championship defenses. And make no mistake about it, I plan on shattering both of those.
Woo! Wow. That is a statement, if I've ever heard a statement. And you know what? I believe that Shane Taylor can do it. What do you think, Renee?
Bro, I seen what he did to Jeff. And don't a lot of people do that. I'm just saying, bro, like, I see what you do. And, like, I seen you come off the top two. I'm like, what is this man? This man is 350. But, hey, when you can do it and you can flaunt it, you might as well, because nobody's going to do it for you. That's the way that I feel about it when it comes to Shane Taylor's. Honestly, straight up. On that note, though, I want to get a little bit more serious, and I'm not trying to get you emotional or nothing, Shane, because I know you absolutely are on a high right now. But when you talk about being from, the East 99, the Eastern Cleveland, a lot of people don't understand what that means. A lot of people don't understand what it means when you're from Miami, like myself. You know what I'm saying? In the neighborhoods we grew up with, or Flint, or places like that. So if this comes off as disrespectful, please ignore. What I'm saying is, like, you don't sound like a cat that spent most of his life in the East 99. You must have found a way out of the trap to gain an education, to become a well-spoken professional. Even though we all know what you do in the ring, you destroy people. You're a violent man. But unlike many of our brothers, me being a Latino and you being African American, we have found a way to hone that strength and that anger and that passion and that violence and use it constructively. So are there any influences that you can point to right away and be like, man, if it wouldn't have been for this, and it wouldn't have been for this, and it would have been for this, I could have ended up like a lot of my homies that aren't even here anymore or locked up? How did you manage, man? How did you find the inspiration to get out of that trap and become what you are today, which is the Ring of Honor World Television Champion?
There have been far too many of those moments to even count to tell you the exact which one it was. I've seen, like I said, it's well documented. I tell people all the time, I'd been to 100+ funerals by the time I was 12. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen so many people die. I've had friends die in my arms. I've been involved in situations that I shouldn't have made it out of, and there have been so many people that have sacrificed for me and not gotten a chance to live their dreams to help me live mine now, that you know, it's nothing short of a miracle for me to be standing here, you know, and being on the stage that I am, being in the position that I am. And part of that reason, regardless of my education, because you can take the kid out of Cleveland, but you can't take Cleveland out of the kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, baby.
I choose to speak a certain way. I choose to conduct myself in a certain way, because when you come from those backgrounds, you already, coming out of places like that, you already have two strikes. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely.
I put as much effort as I possibly can into presenting myself a certain way to negate every single thing that anybody above me or anybody in a position of power can try to stop me from getting an opportunity. And what a lot of people don't understand is, you know, it's fine to want to change the game, right? But what a lot of people have to realize is, first, you have to play the game. And then you take over the game. And then once you own the game, you can make the rules. That's how you change the game. You can't sit outside operating by someone else's rules and think, well, they're going to change them for me. It's not going to happen, right? You can't, you know, want to play in the NFL. They have rules. You can't be like, well, I want y'all to change the rules to this so I can be successful. They're going to be like, no, you're going to play by the rules we set forth. It's no different in life. And what people have to understand, and what I try to preach, and what not even preach, but what I tell people who ask, you know, there are just certain things you have to do in order to succeed. And what a lot of people don't get is, when you come from that environment, there are different rules to life. The same decisions that you make living in the suburbs, you don't get the option to make those decisions coming from Flint, coming from the east side of Cleveland, coming from Chicago, coming from Miami. Your thought process is different. And trying to explain it to people who have never had to live it is tough, because they have no idea what you're talking about. The toughest choice that they ever had to make was, what did they want on their grilled cheese sandwich? You know what I mean? Like,
bacon, baby, bacon.
They're not having to worry about, okay, well, this dude just got out of jail. He killed 5 people last year. Now he lives next door to me. What do I do?
Oh my goodness.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
that's real life stuff right there.
Yeah, man. It's exactly. It's tough, but you know, I'm extremely grateful for the position that I'm in, and my job now is to provide a better life for my kids, and to be someone that people can look up to, no matter what background or where you come from, but especially for people like us that come from backgrounds like ours, to be able to see me and go, okay, he's not a stereotype. He doesn't have to be, you know, this thug or this criminal or this pimp or this gangster or any sort of other societal or, you know, stereotype that people want to put on us. He is just a hard-working dude who busts his ass. Can he go there if necessary? Of course. But that's not going to be my first, second, or third option, you know. So that's what I want to show people: depth of character, and make sure they understand there are more options for them.
Wow, man, I don't know if I could have said it any better. And for those who still don't understand, there's an old saying where I come from that I think summarizes it perfectly. It's, I'm ready for where I'm going because I know where I've been. That is something that always stuck me, man. I'm like, bro, whatever they throw at me, I'm ready. It's like Scarface when he's like, yo, there's nothing, what can you do to me, man? There's nothing you could do to me that Castro has not already done. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm ready. Like, no matter what you do, I'm ready.
You got nothing for me.
Exactly. And you know what? It's crazy because we talk about this stuff, Joe, and you listen to Shane talk about it. But at the same time, things do change. We grow, we evolve. We get out of the MIA, we get out of East Cleveland, and we get an opportunity to make a better life for ourselves. And I remember I kind of hit that moment where I was like, wow, I am completely disassociated with the streets. I am just now a dad. And that moment for me years ago was when I had to get rid of my blue nose pit and get a Yorkie. And that was tough for me, bro. That and getting the minivan were two of the toughest things for me. And recently, Shane, I know you had a similar experience. as far as going out and getting like a manicure pedicure thing with one of your daughters. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, like, so as at 33 now, I've only been to get one pedicure, right? I mean, just being from DC, like, you can't tell your boys, yeah, I'm going to get a pedicure.
Nah. Heck no.
They'll clown you, you know what I mean? Like you're the biggest punk, right?
Right.
So, you just never did it. And when you think about it, it's like, oh, personal health care? Oh, that shouldn't be something that you should get shamed for. It should be something that you should probably celebrate.
Of course.
But, yeah, so my daughter was, she was talking about, she wanted to get her nails done. My wife, I had recently gone to get hers done. So she wanted to go. So, you know what? Okay, I'll take you, And so I took her. She had a blast. And then to just see her sitting in the chair and smiling and getting her nails done and just, enjoying things as a kid that kids should enjoy. You know what I mean? It's something that did my heart a whole bunch of good. And that's why I work so hard. That's why I do this. That's why I, destroy my body doing what I love. You know what I mean? To make sure that they get to have those experiences. Now my daughter gets to, live in a cul-de-sac and play with the neighborhood kids and, get avocado on her toast and all kind of stuff like that. She gets to do those things. So I'm proud man.
Dude, that's beautiful, man. And that's some great perspective. Talk about going from, roughing it in having a difficult childhood to going and sitting at the nail salon with your daughter, man. That's what it's all about, man. Pro wrestling makes dreams come true. But at the same time, Shane, just to shift gears here a little bit, there is also nightmarish situations. And when I think about best in the world, I think about you defending that Ring of Honor World Television title against a guy that, quite honestly, not a lot of people know about, and nor do many people know a lot about his background. All we know is that he is one of the most proficient luchadors to come out of anywhere in the last 10 to 15 years, and his name is Bandito. And this man, and I don't know if you know this, Shane, but Bandito stands for like hitman, thief, bandit, outlaw. And I'm thinking that he's aiming for your championship. And I gotta ask you, and I know this is maybe even come off a little disrespectful. Are you concerned about best in the world and your title defense against Bandito?
You're concerned about every championship defense. I think concern is the wrong word. I'm ready. We were talking about games earlier. Being a student of a game and just about everything that I do, the first time you go up against me is your best time to beat me, because I don't know a lot about you, but you ask anybody that's ever played any game with me, if that game is close and you barely win, you will never, ever beat me again. Right? So what people saw when I faced off against Bandito the first time was me figuring out exactly what it is that he does, and I have a pretty good game plan going into best in the world, and I will execute that game plan. And I promise you, I will walk out and still Ring of Honor World Television Champion. I do find it quite ironic, though, that in a society that would vilify me for being a thief or a bandit, people love Bandito. The guy wears a mask. He's one of the best luchadors in the world. You said it yourself. But the last guy to walk into my house with a mask on and try to take what was mine had a very bad day. So, at best in the world, Bandito's going to have a very bad day.
Wow. You know what? I'm very excited, particularly because of the contrast of styles. Jonesy, I know you're looking forward to best in the world. ROH.TV's got it going on, baby. If you guys aren't already part of Honor Club, what is wrong with you? Listen, and I'm going to say this, Jonesy, before you jump back in. Listen, there's a lot of great stuff going on in pro wrestling right now. A lot of stuff just now starting to kind of shine through. And that's fine. If you want to check out something new, I'm okay with it. I like to check out everything. But there are some things that do not change. And one thing that doesn't change is that Ring of Honor produces some of the best champions in the world. We were talking about it a little bit earlier. We talked about Finn. We talked about Seth. We talked about AJ. All ROH guys. So, guys, Honor Club every single month, every single show. You get an opportunity to watch everything that Ring of Honor is doing. And if you don't already have it, you're slipping on your pippin and you're slacking on your mackin'. So right after the Wrestle Talk podcast, get your ass over to ROH.com and sign up for Honor Club so you never miss any of the action, including Best in the World. Nightmare Jones, why don't you jump on in here, man, before we start closing out this segment?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know, what else can be said about Shane? I mean, the guy's done just about everything you could think of. But my question is when is Shane Taylor going to be the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion?
That's a fantastic question that I've heard before. But the second that I take my eye off of being the most dominant Ring of Honor World Television Champion you've ever seen, that's the day I lose the championship. So all my focus right now is on being the Ring of Honor World Television Champion. Now, once I've set out to Jay Lethal break every single record he's ever held, who knows? But that time is coming, whether people crying on Twitter want to believe it or not, that time is coming. So one day Shane Taylor will be your Ring of Honor World Champion, but for now, enjoy the ride that we're on now as your television champion.
Well said.
Absolutely. I could not set. Oh, go ahead, Renee.
No, well said. I couldn't agree anymore.
Absolutely. And I have one more question, and then we're going to go ahead and go into the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. You know, you haven't always been a singles wrestler. You've been a tag team wrestler as well, and you were a tag team with a gentleman by the name of Keith Lee. And can you explain what actually happened with that tag team?
Nothing happened with the team. You know, we were both singles competitors who had dreams of getting jobs in this industry. And while we were great as individuals, we both knew that there was no other tag team in the world that looked like us, that combined our skill sets or could do what we could do in the ring. So we decided to join together. And in less than 2 years, we were on one of the biggest stages in the world, captivated a lot of people, captivated a lot of attention. And we both succeeded in what our goal was, what our mission statement was, and that's for us to both get contracts. We have different goals, you know, so he decided to go his way, in which I fully support, because he needs to be able to be him and prove what he needs to prove. And I went with Ring of Honor to prove what I need to prove. I have nothing but love and respect for Keith. I wish him all the best to him in his career. And who knows, you know, the question has been asked before, is there going to be a chance that we reform the team? And who knows down the road what happens.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Right now,
y'all would kill it.
I'm loving the ride, man.
Wow. If y'all ever got back together, that would be crazy, bro. Like, I can't even imagine what y'all would do. That would be crazy. Something to fantasize about, fans. Something to fantasize about. Well, Jonesy, I believe it is time to get into the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. And here's the thing. I know that you're a competitive individual. I've heard your interviews. I've seen your matches. So I guess ultimately, even though you've been quite the gentleman since you've been here, it is about that time to pick up the intensity as we close out tonight's podcast. Champ, will you do me the honor of facing me tonight in this evening's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge? The Night Owl versus the notorious Shane Taylor.
Hey man, y'all done woke the dragon up. If we trying to compete, then let's get it, boys.
Let's go, baby. Enter, Timmy. Hit the music. Let's get into tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's installment of the world famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Tonight's contest is scheduled for the best 2 out of 3 falls, and all contestants are the Night Owl, Renee Martinez, and the Ring of Honor World Television Champion, Shane Taylor. I'll say that again. The Ring of Honor World Television Champion, Shane Taylor. In a few moments, I will ask you 3 questions about a particular professional wrestling topic. Whenever you think you know the answer, just shout out the answer. The first person to win 2 falls will win tonight's game show challenge. In honor of tonight's guest, tonight's podcast game show challenge category is TV Champion. I will give you background information on 3 wrestlers who have had major television championships. When you think you know who I'm talking about, just shout out your answer, and the first person to win 2 falls will win tonight's contest. So it's pretty simple. I'll give you a couple clues. You guys shout out the answers. Whoever gets the right gets the point. And we'll play a best 2 out of 3.
Let's get it.
Simple.
Let's go, baby.
Right.
I'm ready.
Night Owl. All right, Night Owl. Night Owl's ready. The chain is ready. All right, question number 1. This 2-time WWE Hall of Famer in 2013 and 2019 has a record for WCW Tag Team Championship reigns with 10 and WCW Television Championship reigns as 6.
Ric Flair.
5 times. Nope. 5 times.
Booker T.
Booker.
Booker T is correct.
Dang it.
Shane Taylor has gotten the first point. It is 1-0. Question number 2. This professional wrestler is a 2-time former ECW television champion. He was the last man to hold the ECW television and heavyweight championship. This former enforcer,
Taz.
Rhino, is correct.
Dang it!
Rhino is correct. Shane Taylor.
I don't even need all the clues, son. I'm ready for this.
Oh, you know what? It's all good, Shane. You know what? I'm not getting swept. I'm telling you right now, I'm getting this last one.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know. Okay, here you go. This professional wrestler is a former Ring of Honor World Champion, Pure Champion, and World Television Champion. In his 2 reigns as the Ring of Honor World Television Champion, he defended the championship 41 times.
Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal is correct.
What?
Oh.
Seriously?
No, that one I knew because I studied those numbers.
Man, come on, man.
35 championship. That's the one I'm chasing. I knew that one. That was a softball, baby.
Softball. See, even
God.
he said it. That's fine. That's fine. Go ahead and play this man's music. But you know what, Nightmare Jones, I got something to say to you after this song.
Yeah. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they say yeah.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Congrats, champ. Congrats. All I'm going to say is this. I'm surprised the questions weren't about freaking Cleveland. It's rigged every time, Skywalker and Nightmare Jones. You guys just set me up. This is shenanigans, tomfoolery, and nonsense. I demand a recount. I should not have got swept. But all.
Hey, man, the recount would still tell you 3-0, my guy.
Oh, come on, man. Damn, that's not even right.
Listen, I'll be more than happy to come on the show another time. You know what I'm saying? Do it again till you sweep you again. That's simply what we do out here.
Wow. Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Shane Taylor would love to come back on the show and kick my ass once again. Thanks a lot, Shane. I really appreciate it.
That's all I know how to do out here.
Hey, no doubt, no doubt. Well, listen, before we let you go, man, a couple of bits of business. I want to give a huge shout out to the Rev Ron Hunt. Ron was the one that turned us on to Shane. He's like, yo, just hit my bro up. Just hit him up. It's not that difficult. Just hit him up. So shout out to the Rev. Rev was a guest with us just about a month ago on the 24th, and he was an awesome dude. So thank you, Rev, for putting us on to Shane, man. And we didn't know how cool he was, and obviously you hit the nail on the head. Number 2, Shane, you already answered. Would you love to come back on? Your answer is yes. And number 3, man, where can people catch you in action?
All right. Obviously, you know, Twitter and Instagram at Shane216 Taylor. Head on over to ROHWrestling.com. Check out the merchandise store. Got a new shirt in the works that's going to be coming out very, very soon. June 1st, Kent, Washington. June 2nd, Portland, Oregon. Get ready. Ring of Honor is coming to the Pacific Northwest this weekend. TV taping in Washington. Live stream on Honor Club June 2nd in Portland, state of the art. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And of course, best in the world coming at you. I do believe that it's June 15th, if I'm not mistaken. We are going to be, you know, killing it every single time that we go out there. Can't thank you guys enough for your support. And you're about to see one hell of a ride with me as World Television Champion.
No doubt about it. Jonesy, any final thoughts for Shane?
Oh, man, it has been an honor and a pleasure having you on. And please don't be a stranger. And definitely we're going to have you come back on because, you know, hopefully, you know, it's not even a hopefully. We already know you're still going to be the Ring of Honor World Television Champion next time that you come on to the podcast again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's no question about it.
No question about it. Well, Shane, I'll tell you what, man. I want you to hang on the line because I got something I want you to hear. I know you're a huge hip-hop fan. We did a little bit of a freeze-in, and everybody else that's a member of the Wrestle Talk family, man, is to interview and Shane Taylor as the newest member of the Wrestle Talk family, episode 248, baby, as we continue to push forth to 250 episodes. We've had Ring of Honor champions, WWE Hall of Famers, independent legends, and so on and so forth. And we're just going to keep it going. And you guys can just sit there and just take that. Ladies and gentlemen, the Night Owl, Nightmare Jones, signing off on tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast. Go and grab a mug, WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Jonesy, say goodnight to the people. Hit them with the freestyle. It was something legit to close out this episode. Grateful for everybody. Grace and peace. And we will catch you guys next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time right here at the WrestleTalkPodcast.com.
Hey.
Yo, what up? Night Owl, Nightmare Jones. What up, Wrestle Talk fam? Do it for y'all. Check me out. Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. Even them haters can't hate us no more. To unlock your door, cause we got some more. Every Wednesday we here, keeping it raw. Night Owl, Nightmare Jones, and all the best guests. Like a double barrel pointed right at your chest. WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Smashing and killing it like the night of the prom.
Good night.